All right, everyone. Good morning. How you all doing? This is Victor Dadash. Happy to be here with you all. Happy to be here with my good friend Shannon Hoverson. How you doing today, Shanny?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great talking to you. I know we haven't seen each other been a few years now, so I really wanted to just talk to you. And I know you have a lot going on in the past year. You've been working on a whole bunch of things, have a bunch of things coming out. So we're definitely going to be talking about that in a little bit. But first, Shannon, I'd just like you just to share your story about, where your journey's been. So could you start off with that for our audience?
Yes, I can. Well, that story, let's see here. Where do we want to start? Well, if we want to go way back to when Victor knew, first met me and whatnot, I am Shannon Hoverson. I live here in North Dakota. And how I got introduced to the online industry and doing business online was through my husband, Mark. And so we'll get to the story of that later, but he did pass away. But how he got started in the industry was we lived in a trailer. We were so poor. We were young lovers, met each other young, fell in love. Took him a while to, realize that I was the one for him. I first time I met him, it was one of those things where I was in love the first eyes. But we were total platonic best friends for 5 years, and then we got married and had kids right away. 9 months, 3 days later, our firstborn Isaac was brought into the world, and he was a youth pastor. My husband was a youth pastor. We had a strong, deep love for the Bible, and so he was in that industry for a little bit. But if you're in the industry of working in the church or ministry or whatnot, it's not a huge payout. And so we, did that for a few years and ended up having, we're getting ready to have our third and fourth kid. And Mark was ready to, he's always had an interest in business. From a young age, he was having, selling, he'd pick corn from the field and sell them at the end of his, driveway. He'd pick dandelions and sell them, so he's always had that entrepreneurship in him. And so we decided to get into business, I should say he did. I was busy raising the kids. I supported him 100%. So he decided to leave the ministry and come into, online marketing. And the first company he was in was a travel company, and he was the number one affiliate. Everything Mark does, he always became number one. He always gave it his all. He had employers tell him he was a perfect employee, etc. So we got into the online business, and he killed it. He crushed it. He learned. He hired mindset coaches. He hired business coaches, and he just went all in because he had to make it happen fast because we had our third board on the way. So he brought us from living in a trailer to, making millions online through being the number one affiliate, through his information products, etc. Well, come about 2014, we got hit with finding out that Mark had neuroendocrine pancreatic cancer. And so I'm definitely condensing the story, but I don't want to take too long on it. But he got diagnosed in 2014, which took us by surprise. And it's the same thing Steve Jobs had, Patrick Swayze, etc. And it was a battle. It was a 4-year battle, but Mark being Mark, the doctors told him he was going to have 30 days to live. This was in April of 2014. And of course, he wanted to prove them wrong. And having the strong mind that he did, he was able to live 4 years past the original diagnosis. They said he would never snow ski again or anything. And he went 25 more times. Our family went on more trips. And so he proved them wrong, of course. And so he continued just to, work on the businesses until he couldn't anymore. The last year and a half was, the hardest on the family. And he did end up passing away August of 2018, which is where the journey of Shannon Hoverson, of the healing and moving forward began for me. This is where life gets interesting for me. Do you want me to go into this, Victor, or did you want to?
No, absolutely. Go on. Share. Keep sharing.
Okay.
I think everyone wants to hear. So
Okay,
definitely continue,
perfect.
please.
And if you think of anything, feel free to interrupt me if you're wanting to ask a question in there. But yeah, so this is where the journey begins for me. And I had a choice. I had a choice of either, curling up in a ball and just hiding, or to carry on the legacy. And because along with Mark's, cancer journey, it also, you can think you are as prepared as you can be financially, it doesn't matter, just emotionally, physically, etc. But then when something hits you and it hits you out of the blue, you realize that, you can only be prepared for so much. And then, life gets to choose what you prepared for or not. And so it's how you handle the adversity, because with Mark's slow death, he was, the face of the company. And so everything kind of slowly died. The company's businesses slowly died. The finances were getting drained so we could cover all the expenses and whatnot. And so I was left in an interesting position, but as soon as he passed, I automatically knew it's, like if you're pulled to do something, I felt pulled to continue on the legacy. And now in the beginning, there was lots of adrenaline, lots of excitement. I'm going for it. Things were going on. And then different events happened to where, just lost everything. And it was to a point where I needed to rebuild and rebrand. And so that was about a year after he passed. And it was really my body, different things just happened to where it forced me to stop. So really 2020 for me, it had tons of challenges. I know other people with COVID and losing jobs and whatever, the same. Like, so me, it was like losing my husband in 2018 and then 19, grieving the kids' grief, my emotions, their emotions, the businesses figuring out what is going on, figuring out, all the behind the scenes stuff. And then 2020 hits with the COVID. And really, for me, it was a blessing in disguise because it forced me to chill out. I think, when Mark first passed, I was running out, like I said, in shock, adrenaline, etc. And so this actually forced me to just stop, relook at everything. And I was able to, like I said, I transferred all of his content to a new platform. I rebranded. Everything's under one umbrella. And it's interesting because it's been 2.5 years since he's passed. And, you can get down on yourself. Adversity, I mean, there's so many side and ins and out stories I could tell, but I'm just condensing it right now. But, you can get down on yourself and feel like you're not doing anything. If you don't, whatever success is to you, if it's like the kids healing, if it's finances, if it's where the businesses should be, you can feel like a failure. I was feeling like, like I didn't accomplish. I wasn't making things work, right? And then you got to have friends. That's where the community comes in. And I have some friends I talk to. They're like, Shannon, you've written, I wrote, what is it? One of the books I wrote was the legacy book about Mark. And so me and 13 authors wrote a legacy book about Mark. I just finished my own book. The companies are rebranded. And just as of late, the travel company that I was going to totally ditch, something new came into play. And so there's a lot of life lessons you can learn through adversity. And so really my story is one that if I could relate anything to people, is to give them hope, like to really embrace, because I'm actually creating a course right now based off of my book With Brave Wings She Flies. And it teaches people how to embrace their adversity and how you can use that to actually be your gift and use that as your power to influence other people. So that's a super, there's so many stories, of course, in between that story, but that's just everyone of who I am, I guess. It's one of, ups and downs, and through all the downs, continuing forward and moving on. So moving forward. I don't like to say moving on, I like to say moving forward, because you're moving forward with what you've been given and using that. I look at myself as an enhanced version of who I was because of everything that has come my way. So.
Yeah, no, grieving is an incredible process. When you lose someone so close to you, it's devastating. It's hard to focus on anything. So, like around the time Mark was like getting sick and close to death, my brother was dying. So, I spent 5 months just taking off from everything. And then he got better for a few weeks, and then he passed away. And yeah, and so I know that the process, the pain, you get so overwhelmed with everything. So it's a really tough process. It's hard to focus on anything. You have to, but it's really hard. So grieving is a really tough process. And actually, April 2014 was actually the time when I first met you guys. My very first event was actually at that Pine Tree Valley area right near San Diego. Yeah, so I was like, it got me out of my comfort zone. I'd never gone to an event before. I never knew anyone. I was scared to death. And I made so many friends at that event. And I know we have this group picture, there are like 60 of us in this photo. And actually, if you look at that picture, Mark has his arm around me. So, yeah, so it's I made so many friends, and I made friends from that event. So yeah, for the audience, I've known, Shannon and Mark, I'm in April 2014. Mark was one of my early mentors, and these guys had incredible events. So they always have a special place in my heart. So yeah, I learned so much from Mark. He was an incredible teacher and mentor. And I know he's influenced so many other people. I went to so many events, other companies, other mastermind events. It seems like everyone knew Mark. He was friends with so many of these people. So I know they all knew you guys. So I know the impact you guys had. Everyone. By the way, would you happen to have a copy of your new book on
Yeah.
you? Why don't you show it to the audience so they could pick it up on Amazon, right?
Yep, Amazon.com. Yep. Just type in Shannon Hoverson and this book will pop up with Brave Wings She Flies. And like I said, I'm creating a course right now based off of this book and just really teaching people, getting some really great feedback. I was curious what the feedback was going to be on this, but people are even saying, you don't have to go through a death necessarily, but any kind of adversity. The book really gives you a new perspective, a positive perspective on how to, embrace what you've been given and really have faith that there is hope in your future, that life isn't over. It can feel like that. When I lost Mark, I felt like life was over because he was my everything. I mean, he was I was, liked him since high school. We did business together. We did family together. We did vacation. We did everything. And we were so legit. He was my soulmate. And so when you're that connected to somebody, it can feel like life is over. And so, as long as you can allow yourself to grieve, that's the catch is most people don't allow themselves to grieve. I know a couple really, really close friends of Mark, and they're also close friends of mine, but still struggling. I mean, it's been 2.5 years and really having a hard time personally because they're not allowing themselves to grieve, and so you really have to be open to that and how your body, how your mind, everybody grieves different and at different times. And so really just being able to hone in and listen to and allow yourself to grieve.
I totally agree. You can't hold it in. You can't just try to deny it because the longer you wait to deal with it, the worse it's gonna hit you. It's just gonna really do you in. If you're grieving someone, you really should just deal with it. I don't you don't necessarily have to grieve 24 hours a day, but you got to spend some time every day grieving. Someone that close to you, you spend someone who meant so much to you. You really should grieve for them. It's going to help. It's going to help with the healing process because I've gone through it with a couple of people, my brother and my dad, and you've gone through it with Mark. So for anyone who's lost someone and you're not grieving over them and they were that close, I definitely recommend start
Yeah, like
your
for me,
healing
I
process.
remember,
Grieve. Yeah.
and like I said, it's different for everyone, but I know for
Yeah.
me, what happened, what I did was, and and everybody's time frame is different, everybody's way is different. But I remember for me, I literally would get the kids off to school, I had a routine, take a shower, and then I would go and cry, like heaving. I'm talking heaving, crying, like for an hour, at least an hour every single day for 6 months. I couldn't even control it. It's just what my body wanted to do. Kids off to school, take a shower, and bawl, just curl up in a ball, like physical pain. But I had to release that. My body had, if I would have never done that for those 6 months and kept all of that inside of me, I don't even want to think about where I'd be right now. Like probably just wouldn't be a very good place. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the books written. I wouldn't be here to be able to share my story. And so, like I said, 6 months every day, just crying and then writing, I wrote, I would, write on my Facebook, I would blog about it. And that's eventually how the book came about. And so, like I said, everybody's way of grieving is different, but definitely listen, whatever your body's telling you to do, if it's telling you to go ski, if it's telling you to go visit friends, if it's telling you to whatever that is, to go in a quiet place, meditate, float tank, I don't care what it is, listen. Allow yourself to listen to your body and how it wants to grieve. And it really empowers you.
No, absolutely. I definitely go with your body says, what your gut says. If it tells you to do this, do that, grieve, it's going to help heal you faster. It's going to help you, like you said, move forward. So obviously, you never get over it, but you are able to deal with it and live life and have a useful, productive, and happier life. And one thing I want to talk about, because with that book, I like the fact you talk about it shows you how you can deal with struggle in adversity. Because number one, almost everyone who's listening to this interview is probably an entrepreneur. So I think every entrepreneur, every network marketer, affiliate marketer, et cetera, we all deal with adversity at one time or another in our business. We struggle. We feel like giving up sometimes. We're like, we've been doing this for so long. We're not getting anywhere. Why should I even bother? Well, let me just give up. And I'm sure your book tells you can overcome any struggle and any adversity, both in your business and in your personal life. So, and also, I'm sure there are plenty of people who are also grieving over the loss of a loved one. So I'm sure both for people who are grieving and for those who are struggling in their business, I'm sure your book can definitely give them a lot of hope that they can overcome this.
Yep, 100%. Because that's just it. It's like, adversity is, it's a loss. It's a loss of something. It's, whether it's, the course that I'm creating even has you go back into your childhood. Maybe it's, it's a loss of something, a lack of confidence, a feeling of, shame or guilt or whatever, something you lose, and then it makes you feel a certain way. And so even for me, yeah, like I had, not just with losing Mark, I had my own like guilt of like, well, I'm not Mark. I don't talk the way he does, or, teach the way he does, or I'm not further along, or Mark did it quick. Where you get all these thoughts, all these, limiting
Hmm.
beliefs, voices in your head. And then certain things come your way, a bump, like maybe it's, maybe it's, you got to have surgery on your body. Some kind of a physical pain happens where you got to take time out to do that. You can't build your business. Maybe it's kids are distracting you and you can't do things, or maybe it's you don't have the resources, right? To get things to go faster. So then, I mean, I have many times, even just yesterday, I'm like, there's just a ton of things that have come my way that have like want to stop me, right? And it's just like, gosh, I just don't. I just want to quit. I don't really want to quit, but I wanted to quit. It's like I'm so like, how much can a person take, right? And so I think really though, if you change your perspective, and so what I like to do when I have, especially when you have so many things come at you at once and you want to quit, you want to be done, I change my perspective and I'm like, you know what? You know what this is saying? This is just saying that, I have something great. Like the negative energies know that I have something great to offer this world, and they don't want to let me do it. They don't want me to, give what I have to offer because they know it's going to make such a positive impact, right? And so for me, I like to change that perspective. I'm like, oh, this just means I've got something great. I'm on the brink of something good. And so let's keep moving forward. And then I also know like it's, being problem solvers. If you're an entrepreneur, you're solving problems all the time. And so it's like, okay, my brain is going to get stretched. It's going to get stronger. I'm going to learn something new. And it's only going to make me a better teacher and a better entrepreneur once I get past this. But I think being able to change our perspective on when everything comes our way, like, this is great. This just means I'm on the brink of something good, and to keep moving forward. So that's what I've learned to do, I guess, through this. That's kept me going as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, and I think that's a great perspective to have, Shani, because if you see it as something you can learn from, something great you can do as a challenge, it's going to make it so much easier to deal with these challenges, with these obstacles, with these adversities. I think most of us, when we see an adversity, an obstacle, we're like, not again. Will this ever stop? And that's why we get so frustrated, overwhelmed. But if you change your perspective, as you mentioned, how you look at things, how you approach it, you become more solution oriented. You feel like you have more control over things. If you see it as something like, oh, why me? You
Mhm.
feel like you have no control. Everything's external. It's external forces, external people control what you do. But when you see it as something you can overcome, you can learn from, something that can help you, then you become solution oriented. You become like, you feel like you are in control. So I love that perspective you have. And I think if more people had that perspective, they would see that obstacles can help them grow. As Napoleon Hill, talked about, every adversity carries with it the seed of a equal or greater benefit. And we see these adversities, something that we can learn from that can help us grow. Because here's the thing, people who've never experienced adversity, they don't grow. They don't know how to deal with challenges. And when they come up with challenges, they just have one, like kids that are spoiled, that had their parents give them every single thing. The parents did them a disservice because they don't know how to deal with any kind of adversity. Whereas parents uh, that don't spoil their kids, that some know sometimes, and make the kids learn from doing certain things or not be able to do certain things, their kids are much able to deal better with adversity. And by the way, I'm going to say I've met all your kids, and I could definitely say you and Mark did a great job of raising them. And I wanted to mention before, and I know from listening to, I spent a lot of time with you guys. It was very obvious to me how much you and Mark loved each other. It was I saw the love there between you two. So and that's why it was obvious to me how much you miss him, and you heard, and we all miss him, but it was very obvious how much love you guys had and how much the kids have for him and for you guys. It was just the whole family was very loving. So I saw that with my eyes. I spent time at your house. We'd go to your house after events. So it was very beautiful. So no, and I'm glad to hear that you've been able to deal with this adversity. You're able to grow stronger and move forward and learn and do a lot of great things. You have deal with these challenges and come up, writing this book, doing, and you also have a coaching program you're doing now. So, feel free to talk about all the other things, the new things you've been coming up with in the past year, because you've been working on a whole bunch of new things in the past year. So feel free to share any of that with our audience.
Absolutely. And just one other, I guess, on the adversity aspect of it,
Hmm.
something that really helped me as far as moving forward is, a lot of people want to ask the question, why? Like, why did this happen to me? Or why did this happen to that person? Like, I could ask the question, why did God take Mark instead of me? Like, he was offering so much more, this, that, and the other, right? Like, he was in the grove, he was teaching so many people, and I think once we let go of why and not focus on the why, other than look at it, it's the same as a perspective thing because, and I'm only bringing this up because it's something that where I wanted to go, but I just didn't allow myself to go, is not to ask why these things are happening to you, but just to embrace them. And like I said, just let it make you stronger. But yeah, so then the things that I've been going, it's been interesting. Like I said, if I look back at the 2.5 years, basically shut down all of the companies, rebranded. So now everything's under one roof called Hoverson Royal Academy. And all of Mark's content, anything I create is going to be under Hoverson Royal Academy. So if anyone's interested, you can either go to the Facebook group or the website, hoversonroyalacademy.com. It's, like I said, a free Facebook group or website. So I've done that, and then so I transferred. I took everything. Here's what you got to remember, and so all of the help, all of Mark's like staff members were gone at this point. So it's me. So the story, as it grows, I cannot wait to share it. And that's the thing, is you gotta believe. Like, there's just, like I said at the beginning, why I continued in the first place is because I felt a pull. Okay, so here's the thing: is we have gifts inside of us. Those gifts, whatever we're good at, it doesn't matter if it's quilting, it doesn't matter if it's teaching, it doesn't matter, whatever, what your gift is. If it's singing, if it's music, okay, that was put in you. You were put in the environment to create that gift inside of you. And if you can really hone in and embrace what you've been given and then make that your power to share with other people, it's huge. And so for me, I continued on because I believed in Mark more than he believed in it himself. I mean, this is from day one. Mark used to stand on stage and tell how I would, pray for all of his content to go all over the world and, just different things. And so I still believe that. And so that's what's like kept me like going, is because my role with Mark was to be his cheerleader, was to be his, caretaker. And that was my role, so he could grow, right? Well, now he's out of the picture. So now what? Now it feels like my role, my gift on earth was taken away. And someone else may be feeling this way too, that maybe you got injured and you can't play the guitar and whatever. You feel like your gift has been stripped away, because I felt like I was living my role. So now it's like, well, now what? My role, my gift, what I felt like I was supposed to be doing is gone, right? But here's the thing, is we can have more than one gift. And so when that happens, when you get one gift taken away that you felt like you were here on, it's like, okay, so I guess I was put here for more than just one role. And so, but I'm still honing in the cheerleader, the, encourager, right? So yeah, I've started the coaching, where I've seen some amazing breakthroughs, really honing in, like helping people with their mindset. And then and they're getting access to Mark's courses. So we're going through, mindset that way. And then what I'm teaching them one-on-one. And I'm really like, it's just empowering me even more to see what the next step is. And here's the thing too, is like, I may not know the full picture. Like, I have the full belief. Like Grandpa Odie says, he's 91 years old. It's Mark's grandpa. And he always says, well, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And so I've always just had the belief, even since Mark passed, that I am meant for something great, for other greater things. Now, it was a great role to be, by his side and be his cheerleader. But I just knew, like, and I've even known since childhood that, like, I was meant for something great. Now, there's something in you, whether you've hidden it because obstacles and adversity and trauma and whatever's come your way, you've known before all of that you are meant for something. We are all meant for something great. Now, everybody's greatness is different levels. It may not be on stage speaking in front of millions of people, but maybe it's that classroom where you're deeply impacting 20 kids in grade school, or whatever the case may be. So I've just continued to move forward, and the pieces are just slowly falling into place. So the first step was rebranding, getting the courses on a new platform. And then the next step is I've got the Royal Marketplace that'll be coming out in about 6 months. And that's going to be all the products that Mark had created. So just different connections and different things that are just happening to come my way. The timing, having the patience, that's another thing. Believe in yourself and believe in what you want and what you believe you're supposed to do, but then you got to have patience, because I wish I was at now, like 6 months after Mark passed. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
see like how much character has been developed in me and how much I've learned, like the tech stuff. So I had to learn from scratch all of the tech stuff to like get to where it is. And so my brain got stretched, and I'm just not a techie person. Mark never was either. It's just not something we were, enjoyed. So that's into place. And then now the last piece to the puzzle. So the information products, the coaching program, and now it's the last piece of the puzzle is the travel company, which this is, for those of you listening, Mark, this is what brought us from living in a trailer to him being the #1 affiliate, is being promoting a travel product. And so our big thing was, and I'm so glad, because we didn't know his life was going to be taken at 39. We didn't know he was going to get diagnosed with cancer at 36, but for whatever reason, he got into the travel, and we were able to make so many memories with our kids and with each other. And I just, everyone's drawn to different products, but for me, it's like that, being able to travel and have, because when do you remember things the most? It's like either you go to an amusement park or you're going to an arcade, you're doing something, you're moving, you know what I mean? Like my memories as a kid, the most I remember are like the couple trips we went on, across country to Texas or whatever it was, like, it was the traveling. That's what I remember the most. Or whether it was me traveling, going to a church camp, or where I was moving, I was going somewhere. So anyways, we created so many memories. And what's cool is I was going to give that up. I was going to be done with that because it just wasn't going where I wanted it to. And then a new opportunity, and everything's fallen back into place for that. So now I just kind of think it's interesting that I am starting over and the travel is going to be the main focus. And that's where Mark started. So I just think it's kind of cool, and the 4 kids and all of us. So everything's slowly but surely falling into place. The story is not done yet. I mean, it's not done. It's still being played out. And it's like I said, if you just have patience during everything that happens, the adversity and then the growth and the path, if you just believe that you're going to get to where you want to go or where you're supposed to go, it will happen. But you have to believe. Like if I were to ever stop believing in myself that I can make this happen, it's over. It's over. I'm done. I'm shutting everything off. But I there's moments and I tell this story in the book where I feel like I'm just getting punched in the stomach, right? So I call it the boxing, the 10 count. I call it the 10 count. It's like the boxing ring where the players, the boxers down on the ground. Because this is exactly how I felt one day on the ground. Was like I got boxed and I got hit, and I could hear the ref. I was like hunched over on the ground. And I could hear the ref in my ear counting 1, 2, and all of these emotions, all these different, movies were playing in my head of what happened, what is happening, but what could happen, and why am I going to get up? Am I going to stay down till he counts to 10 and just be done? Or am I going to get up before he counts to 10? And so it's like a movie playing in my head. Every time I get in these situations, it becomes so real. I'm like, okay, and then I flash and why am I doing my kids, the travels, everyone else that I'm helping through my coaching, whatever, that all flashes through my head. And before that count gets to 10, I rise up and I'll just scream. Like there's something to say about letting your voice out. And even if you're just by yourself at home and you just scream, but you just release, right? And so, so just continue to keep that belief in myself, and we'll see a year from now if we have another interview where everything's played out, But it's interesting even to think about, the first interviews I had with people right when Mark passed, and all these ideas and things I said I wanted to do, or why I'm doing it now, to see 2.5 years later, what has happened. So
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'd definitely love to talk to you in another year from now just to see where things stand for now, because I'm sure you're going to have a lot to share with us as to how things have moved on, have moved forward, and a lot of great things have happened. And I just love the viewpoint. You got to believe in yourself, because here's the thing. It's hard to get others to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. If you can't sell yourself, it's hard to get other people to buy from you, because people can sense when you don't have the confidence. And when you really believe in yourself, they feed off of that enthusiasm, off of that energy. So it's beautiful that you've learned, I got to believe in myself, and then everything else is going to fall into place. And it's just great how you've changed everything, how you overcome all this adversity. I'm looking forward to reading them. I'm definitely going to pick it up today on Amazon. And I know Mark always talked about these trips you guys would take, Hawaii and all these other places, and the ski trips and all that stuff. So I would see the pictures. So and I know you guys have a lot of memories for the kids, for yourself. So you definitely have a lot of memories to remember. So yeah, like you said, it's those experiences people always treasure. You can see, you remember the few trips you took with your family you were growing up. That's the thing kids always going to remember. remembered. So you guys built a lot of memories for the family, and I really. It's just great to see all the things you've done in the past year. You're working on more things, the travel club, and you got more. Another program come out in 6 months. So people like, well, everyone listening, I want you to realize that no matter what you go through, you can definitely overcome this. And as Shani mentioned, you need to have a long-term perspective. Too many people, especially when they get started off, have a short-term perspective. They join a company. If they don't make money in 2 or 3 weeks, they go to another company. Then 3 weeks later, they're in another company. They fall into what's called the shiny ball syndrome or shiny object syndrome. They go from company to company. They're in 5 companies in 3 months. And instead of having multiple streams of income, they have multiple streams of debt because they're not doing anything in any of them because they don't, what it comes down to is when you're jumping from company to company every single month, it's really because you don't have a belief in yourself. You really don't believe this is going to work for you. If you believe it's going to work for you, you will stick through it and you will be patient. Especially, here's the thing, when you're starting off, you don't know much. So it's going to take time for you to get through that personal development, build that foundation. You got to have some patience. Les Brown talks about the bamboo tree. It spends 4 to 5 years being watered and nurtured underground. There is no growth. But the person, planting and nurturing the bamboo tree is patient with it. And in the 5th year, in the span of like 60 days, it grows 90 feet. Now, did it grow 90 feet in those 60 days? No, it took 5 years, but the foundation was being built. The person was patient with it, he watered and nurtured that plant and it grew 90 feet, but it took 5 years. Now, hopefully it won't take you 5 years, but it may take you 6 months, it may take you 2 years. You don't know, but you got to be patient. If you're doing the right things and you have a good mentor, things will work out for you. So as Shannon's been sharing with all of us, you have to be patient because if you make impulsive choices all the time, you will not experience that success. You have to be patient with yourself. There are going to be obstacles. We all have obstacles, and Shannon shared a lot of her obstacles that she's gone through the last several years, but she was able to work through. She overcame it. She overcame the adversity, and in the process, you could tell she's become a much stronger person. And now that when I'm strong, when you're dealing with future obstacles, future adversity, you realize, man, I can definitely overcome this. And you've grown as a person. Not only that, but you learned you have certain other gifts that you didn't have while you were working in your previous role, helping, supporting Mark. And a lot of people don't realize you were doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Mark did not create this company all by himself. He had a lot of help from you. So everyone that hung out with you guys knows that. But you determined after Mark's unfortunate passing, you discovered the last couple of years that God gave you a bunch of different gifts and talents, and maybe now it was time for you to utilize those gifts and challenge and share it with the world. Would you agree?
I love, if I can piggyback your
Mhm.
foundation, just because that's been the topic that I've been, talking with some of the people that are with me on my team. And I'm just like, that's the catch is like, that's the longest part. Like you're saying with the bamboo trees, even with the house, we got a lot of carpenters in our family. It's like the foundation is what takes the longest. And it's like, once you get done with that foundation, the walls and the roof and everything else, they go up so much faster. And even Mark, when he was talking to a counselor when he was first, leaving the ministry and starting the business, and he'd go in and visit the counselor, and he tells us in one of his story videos, but it's really powerful, and I believe it for everybody is, the counselor was like, so how's your business doing? Oh, it's turning a corner. Next week, how's your business doing? Oh, I'm turning a corner. Again, turning a corner. And then one day, finally, the counselor was like, Mark, sounds like, you're turning a corner. Sounds like you're kind of walking in circles. Like you're just walking in circles. But then it was like, it can feel like that. But like I said, if you can keep your eye on the long-term vision and how you're, the benefits of you, and you got to keep it not about yourself. Really what's going to keep you motivated is thinking about others and how is your life going to serve other people. But eventually then, after he kept turning those corners, it did skyrocket. And he says in the video that it's almost like God says, well done, faithful servant. Like, now it's your time. Boom. And so really that's the thing is, it's like really trusting the process of everything that's being brought your way, every challenge, not even just every challenge, but even every gift, being so grateful for every gift that comes your way. For me, especially, it's like if the kids, something, they have a breakthrough in their character, they have a breakthrough in their grieving process, or the business, I have a connection that I happen to meet, or something actually goes smooth for me. It's like being so grateful even for the littlest of things that do go your way along the process as well, and then also being grateful for the bumps that come your way, because yeah, like we said, it's only getting stronger. But the patience, having the patience, keeping your eye on the goal, keeping the end in mind of where you're wanting to go, because for me, I'm not where I want to be yet fully, right? And so this is the process. Now I may not see every move that I'm going to be taking on, but I'm just following. If you trust the process and if you trust your gut that you're doing the right thing, you're going the right way, then it's gonna I don't know, I'm gonna get there. All I know is I keep seeing that end in mind, and I know I'm gonna get there. I don't know how I'm gonna get there necessarily, but I am gonna get there. So
Uh, that's beautiful. I agree. Every person has been successful. They all talk about gratitude. Their lives change when they learn to be grateful for every little thing. They count their blessings. Because when you're grateful, it's hard to be miserable and angry. When you're grateful for little things, you're focusing on the wonderful things that you have. And we tend to ignore those things. We tend to focus on the things we lack instead of focusing on the blessings and the good things that we do have. So when they focus on their blessings there and they're grateful for these things, it really changes how you look at life. And I know Mark was very big on your self-talk and how you look at things. And as you were pointing to celebrating the little victories. I know we would go on these little walks and we would focus on the things we were successful. I know I'm successful. Everyone is only focused on I'm successful when I make $1 million, but he would say, I know I'm successful when I come home, my kids are happy to see me and they hug me. Little things like that, which we don't focus on. But, if your kids are doing well, you're a good parent, and your kids are doing all these great things. If you're doing all these great things, your spouse is happy to see you when you come home. You bought your wife a flower, or your wife cooked you a nice, whatever, any little thing, those things you do or the habits, you realize you're successful and you focus on these things. And again, it goes back to gratitude, the stuff you say to yourself, because people think they're not successful because they don't think they have a mansion in Beverly Hills. But if you look at a lot of the little things you have, you already have a lot of successful things going on, and you can build upon it. So when you focus on the little successes you have, it goes into your subconscious mind, and eventually they become bigger successes. But you got to start with the smaller ones first. And I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, it's very true. It's very true. And if we focus on that, then we don't focus as much on what we consider failures. We have all these adversities, and then those adversities and bumps that come up are what create a lot of our limiting beliefs in ourselves and our limiting belief thought system. And so really the more you focus on the good, that helps you too to be able to overcome those natural, feelings of guilt or failure or whatnot, that come our way too. So yeah, no, it's true. It's being grateful is so huge for like you said, yeah, the little things, not just, you know, thinking about the money or the mansions and whatnot. So
Yeah, and that will all eventually come anyway. So it's you got to just change your paradigm, change your point of view of things. It's really, again, our subconscious mind controls over 90% of the things we do. If you change, again, that's why a lot of times we talk about mindset. I know Mark talked about it, and I know you're talking about mindset is so important. If you focus your mindset, things will start changing. Again, it may not happen overnight, but as we were talking about before, build that foundation. And once you have that proper foundation built, you can weather any storm. As it says in the Bible, a house built on a firm foundation can withstand any storm, but if it's built on a poor, sandy foundation, the storm comes, the house is destroyed. So you need to work on that foundation. So here's the thing. If you join a company, you develop yourself, you build a strong foundation. If that company goes under, for example, you can take your skills to another company. You can be successful in another company if you have that good foundation. But if you don't have that good foundation, the company goes under, you go to another company, you probably won't have that success because you don't have that proper foundation. So definitely work on that personal development, work on that strong foundation, get yourself a good mentor, a good coach,
yeah.
and be patient with yourself. And don't compete with other people. If I try to compete against Tony Robbins, I'm going to lose every single time. But if I'm better than I was last week or last month, I should be happy, because as long as I'm improving and as long as we're all improving each day, each week, each month, we should be happy with each other. Now, it's really great to see all the great things you've done, because you've dealt with a lot of grieving, a lot of adversity. You've done so much. And then you've dealt with a lot of adversity. You had to rebrand the whole companies and everything. You moved back to North Dakota, and you're doing some really great stuff now. And it's obviously I'm really looking forward to us talking, say, a year from now, just to see where you're going with all this. And
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely see in your face. You definitely, I definitely see the belief in yourself because it's obvious you're gonna do a lot of great things, and it's really good to see things going well for you. And I've known Shani for like 7 years now. She has a heart of gold. She loves to help people. So if you're looking for someone, if you need a mentor or someone, I would definitely say reach out to her because she tries to help everyone. She has a really good heart. She really wants to serve people and to help people. And so I've known her personally since like 2014. I know she'll do everything she can to help you, and her focus has always been on other people. She really wants to serve and help people, and because
Thank you,
I've just seen it
Victor.
up front.
Kind words. Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Very
Yeah,
beautiful.
no, it's great. I'm really, and again, I'm looking forward to buying the book because look, well, I'm still dealing with adversity. We all are, and I think a lot of people can get inspired by your story. So I definitely go on Amazon. People pick
Yeah,
up that book because
Amazon, pick
show
up
it
the
again.
book.
Yeah,
Right. And and
yes.
that's the whole point of this book too, is, teaching people, how to deal with the past adversity, the present, but then to know that we're here on earth. We're in, adversity is going to come again. There's going to be bumps that come again. But if you can really learn, even in developing, an emotional intelligence to like, to let things go. Really, you just got to be able to let things go, whether it's words or events or things, and really being able to release and let go. And that's going to help you move forward too, and you're going to be able to handle future adversities because of the strength that you've built from dealing with the past and the present. So once you learn techniques and things, you can do it. Anybody can do it. It doesn't necessarily make it easier, maybe a little bit easier, but you're at least going to know what to do, and it's not going to phase you like, oh, another one. Instead, you're going to be like, oh, well, I knew this was coming. All right, let's, I've learned what to do. Let's put these into practice and see what happens. So
No, absolutely. I think as you do in any journey, particularly for those that are entrepreneurs, and even when you get a lot of success, guess what? You come up with new obstacles, new things
yeah.
happen to you. It's just part of the journey. It's part of the process. So, and I don't recall seeing anywhere in the Bible life was going to be easy.
Right.
We were going to be given help and grace, and we would not be left alone. But never do I read it's going to be easy. It's going to be a simple journey. So they're going to be ups and downs, and through all parts of your life. So, but like you said, once you've overcome these obstacles, these struggles, these problems, you've learned to deal with them and overcome them. You have a lot more confidence. It's not just that you have confidence in yourself. People have confidence in you because they can say, well, Shani's done all these things. She's overcome all these things. She can help me as well because I've seen her overcome overcome these struggles, these adversity. That's the other thing. If you've never had any kind of obstacles or struggles, people will have a harder time relating to you because they will say, how does this person know what I'm going through? But when you've overcome these adversities, people will say, wow, I can relate to that person because she's gone through it and she overcame it. And maybe she can help me overcome my struggles.
And that's a huge part of the journey too, that we're on, to share it, whether it's a big crowd or small crowd, being willing to, work through your own adversity and build that so that you can share with others, so other people can. That's the whole point why we're here, is relationships and to be able to serve other people. And really, that's the biggest gift is, it's better to give than to receive. It feels so good to give to somebody and see them grow because you shared your gift, whatever that gift is. If it's music, if it's, emotional, whatever your gift is, you share that and you see somebody grow from that. There's really no better for me, there's no better satisfaction than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's nothing like when someone calls you or messages you and says, hey, because of what you did, what you said, and you inspired me not to give up. And now because of that, I've done this in my business. And it's all because of what you said to me that day, or when we had that phone call, that Zoom call, or you spoke at this event. And I persevered, and man, my business has doubled since then. And I was about to give up. When you get those kind of calls and messages, you're right. It's such an incredible feeling knowing you made a difference in someone's life and that you helped them, not give up, and that everything's turned out for the best for them. I totally agree with you on that. But I know right now it's getting sort of that time. I know you have another appointment coming on, so I know you have a very busy schedule today. So Shannon, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. It's been a real pleasure, and I thank you for sharing all your story and your wisdom with us. And before I let you go, so if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach out to you? Is it your Facebook profile, Facebook? What's the best way to contact you?
Yep. Best way to contact me is to go to Hoverson Royal Academy Facebook group. So just go into Facebook, go into Hoverson Hoverson Royal Academy, and you can direct message me, or you can go to support@hoversonroyalacademy.com. But hoversonroyalacademy.com, either Facebook group, website, whatever. Just remember Hoverson Royal Academy. Something will come up, and you'll be able to contact me through that. So Victor, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And this won't be the end. I think we'll be reconnecting, and we'll see what happens. But always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. We'll definitely be reconnecting again. Yeah, definitely a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much again, Shani. And I had a great time having you on, and it was a real pleasure talking to you today. Have yourself an amazing day, and give my best to the kids.
I will. Thank you, Victor.
Take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.